Good night and welcome to Mindful Live 379. I am your host, Nathan Springer. Thank you for being here. It is currently the 12th of April in the year 2024. The year is progressing well. It's a brand new year. A brand new year around in these parts. Well, it was a brand new year and we're already 4 months into this brand new year. So once you're on the inside, make sure you hit that like button. Double tap the screen over there on TikTok. 2 quick taps. Just like that. Pop, 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 pop. Real quick. And works well. Double tap that screen. You could do it over and over and over and get those likes pumping. And on YouTube too, if you are viewing this right now on the live, because we are streaming live on YouTube and on TikTok. If you are viewing this live on YouTube, please do hit that like button. And if you are viewing this on repeat on YouTube, you know, because these lives are repeated, you could catch it on the bounce back. Follow Nathan Spring over there on YouTube and you will catch anything you miss. If you miss it, you catch it. Beautiful. But a question in the chat. They just want to tarnish his legacy. You damn well know that was going on. I wanted to come on last night to cuss away some mothers because I fed up. Ooh. But you did a short one. How do these celebrities enhance your life? You mean my life? Personally, well, celebrities do enhance my life. There are some interesting things you could note about celebrities. Celebrities live their lives in public, so it's like watching a human live and seeing them do certain things, and you could look at the consequences and outcomes, and you don't have to do it on your own. Watch the celebrities do the foolish things, and you could see what they learn from that, and you learn in turn. So there is some possible enhancement there. There is a possible enhancement there. And the reality is, you could complain about the celebrities and the positions they have, but the reality is they have those positions because people like listening and looking at them. It's no one's fault but the people who like them. It's kind of like a supply and demand thing. People like to look at them, so they are popular. And I was in my birthday dinner. Hey Ronnie, I forgot to say it yesterday. Happy birthday. Big it up, big it up, big it up. I see you floating out in the waters, throwing thirst traps out there. I see you, Ronnie. I see you. Pretend like we don't know what's going on out there. Good evening, Eternal Force. Blessed evening, blessed evening. What's in the news this evening? What's in the news? This first thing is on the parents. So if you were talking about wanting to blow out the mothers, we're going to talk about some parents first this evening, Ronnie. The parents seeing some stress. The government supposedly supposed to be giving out some grants and stuff to the parents for books and all of that, and the parents are seeing is stress. They want the freeness, but it's stress. Love and hate comes from the same place. Does it now? Facts, Nathan, they are viable entities that contribute to the life to avoid. Yeah, they are life lessons. We could look at them as life lessons. They're there for you to watch and not emulate, I guess. You could see the consequences of it. The strange thing is, people choose to look at them, see their lives being crashed, and decide, well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do exactly what they did, because that seems like a brilliant idea, don't it? No, it really does not. But let's jump into the article and see what's going on. Book grant frustration. Frustration on the book grant front. Parents complain about online application process. Parents have flooded the Ministry of Education's Facebook page to express their frustration with the online application process for a school supplies and book grant valued at $1,000. You know, Just this shows you the different world we live in with Facebook and social media on a whole. There was once upon a time where if the government told you they were giving you something and they don't give you it, they set you up a bit, there was nothing you could really do about that. You just had to stay and suck salt. Hard luck, too bad, hope you get it another time. But now, people could literally go up on the government's page and lambast them. People could go up on Dr. Keith Rowley's personal Facebook page and lambast him. Social media has done some unique things for the world. Good morning, Nisi. Pleasant morning to you. I say, Grand Rising. All that good stuff. Ronnie said they just want to walk in and leave with the money like his island finance. But I mean, you see, part of the problem is the government teaches them that. What happened, Ronnie? You don't like Grand Rising? I say, hold it on, my sister. Grand Rising, rise grandly. Vibesy says that grant issues a political trick. The problem to access it is the same as many of their programs. Well, that's the nature of politics. But the reality is bureaucracy kind of always exists in politics. Bureaucracy is the way politics attempts to be honest. Bureaucracy is politics' version of trying to ensure honesty. So we don't want people to be dishonest and just take the money and run and do their own thing. So we have to make a red tape here, a paperwork there, one person to sign off on it there, someone to check it over there, and each step is just adding to the bureaucracy. But I mean, it's an attempt to create honesty in a system. Parents have flooded the US. The ministry opened up online applications on Tuesday, stating the grant is supposed to assist students who may be financially disadvantaged in acquiring supplies needed to attend primary and secondary schools in the country. One parent wrote, "If you know how these kind of things does get me so mad. Every time they bring out something which is supposed to help citizens, the citizens have to go through a set of stress." Another wrote, "This was done the wrong way. What about people who need this and have no access to internet or phones, laptops, current, etc.? Think about it. The ones who may get it, and that's just unfair. This system is just wrong side." You see, there are some difficulties in life in working resources down to the bottom of society. There are some difficulties in attempting to work resources down to the bottom of society. It's not necessarily as 1 + 1 = 2 and straightforward as you might expect. Because people who accumulate, and I don't mean this in an insulting way, I'm just using it in a descriptive way, but people who accumulate at the bottom of society, oftentimes there are different realities that cause that. So oftentimes, sometimes you'd see people who accumulate on the lower levels. You see sometimes they have struggles with education. They are less educated. What that means, though, is if you send out help and the help needs someone to read in order to understand how to access the help, then the people who struggled with education and cannot read would already be at a disadvantage. It's the nature of attempting to help the less fortunate. They are less fortunate because they are less fortunate, and attempting to get help to them requires some thinking more than just the obvious. For example, people talk about giving money to the poorer people. That usually does not work as well as many people would like to hope. You go through to the poorer communities and give them thousands of dollars. That money is just going to get them a few of their needs and probably a lot of their wants and luxuries in a short period of time, and within a very slim time period, that money is going to find itself in the pockets of the business class and it's going to stay there. So giving them cash does not really elevate them out of the situation. So again, you have to think about it a bit better than that. You present something as help for the poorest people in the country and put it online. I mean, if someone is really is legitimately in a poor and destitute position, and they have children, because it's about getting children to school, I don't think accessing it through the internet would be the easiest way. And for those of us who have done things, especially government things, through the internet, you recognize that very regularly it's an exercise fraught with errors and troubleshooting. You go attempt to do just about any government business through their online portals, and you're going to end up in a phone call with help. You're going to end up probably doing this a couple nights in a row. It's not just a straightforward 5-minute process. Do the poorest people in the country with children to see about and send to school have 4 hours to give up on 3 consecutive nights attempting to work out this online Gordian knot that you usually find yourself approaching when you enter these online portals? Ronnie's Will says, I'd just say give out uniforms, but that would just inflate uniform prices. Well, what they did once upon a time was they gave out the books. They gave the books. That made it a whole lot easier. Maybe a coupon program where the coupon could only be used to purchase books. And you could actually follow who purchased what books. If the books are if it's about books, then put the books in the schools. What about the $100 million the PM promised for low prominent areas? What have we seen so far? I don't know. I don't know exactly how it's going so far. Jem says, so they don't have friends or family with internet access, go to the library. You see, here's the thing, Gems. Here's the thing. When you are trying to get help down to those people, you see, this isn't about a middle class program where you are attempting to get the middle class people to come and access this thing, and if they don't come, well, that's their loss and that's their fault. This isn't a program where you are basically putting something for someone to reach it on a shelf, and if they don't reach it on the shelf, that's their fault. No, the aim of programs like this is to go to meet the people that are left behind in society, meet them where they are, and help them out of those positions. If that's your aim, then telling them that they should pull up their boots, pull themselves up by their bootstraps and lace up their laces and go out there and make it on their own, that's not what this program is about. Now, here's the thing. I agree with you in terms of the general sentiment of that. Yes, generally speaking, you are the most important determinant in the fate of your life and the life of your family, and that's on you. That's for you to do. I agree 100%. If I am giving them personal advice, I'll tell them things like that. Seek out your friends, seek out your family, go in a library, join a library, find the internet cafe and all of that. Yes, those are things you should do, and I will give them that advice. But if I am the state or an entity attempting to get help down there to these people, I would understand that telling them go join a library to access the help isn't necessarily the way to get it done. And the reason that you are attempting to do this isn't just only out of the kindness of your heart. It's not just out of the kindness of your heart. I'd hope that people have that kind of love and care and sentiment towards their fellow man all on their own. But even outside of caring for people and caring for children being educated, the reality is leaving people left behind in your society harms all of us. That's what we're seeing right now. You leave all of these people in your society left out and falling through the cracks and not elevating themselves with the general flow of the society. They are going to punish the society in turn. That's just how it goes. People from a society that are left out generally attempt to punish that society. The general modus operandi of it. So as a society, what we are attempting to do here is make sure that these people don't become vindictive, bitter, and resentful to the society, and that they have an opportunity to elevate themselves too, so that we all benefit. Yes, Ronnie, I know that the books weren't being returned. But here's the thing. To me, that's where you go to solve the problem. If the books weren't being returned, then effectively what you were doing was buying the books for each class. If you are offering now to do the same thing fully, buy the books for each class, isn't that automatically going to cost more than telling them we have the books and please return the books and then actually going through and enforcing that? But you see, here's the reality, and this might be a whisper because I don't know if all of you may know this. Being involved in teaching and around that education world, you pick up certain things. There's a very serious money-making racket around textbooks and their sale and purchase. So the government, I mean, don't say the government as all members of the government, but there very likely would be some entities in, around, and linked to the government that had no problem with people not returning the books and having to buy a new batch every year. A new batch every year means that whoever the owner of the writer of that book is, the publisher of that book is, they get some fresh money every year. It's like, haven't you wondered why they always ask for the new edition? This is the same book. They change 10 words. And now it's the second edition. And when you look on the book list, it's no longer the first edition. The book list says the second edition. So if you go to borrow the book, no, that's not the book. You can't borrow it. That book was never sold before. This is a brand new book. You have to go buy that second edition. And these things happen as well in the government level. Listen, I think to a large extent, textbooks themselves are going obsolete. To a large extent. I teach, and I'll be honest with you, not much of my teaching comes out of textbooks. The internet is vast. If you are looking for the direction to move education in forward, would you be focusing on textbooks? Would you be focusing on textbooks? I don't think that's true, sir. Here's the problem. It's not, you see, sir, the sentiment there, the reason that's not true is because it's not that the words and knowledge of the books are becoming obsolete. So the Bible wouldn't become obsolete in that its instructions are still there. What I'm talking about with the obsolescence of the books isn't the knowledge, but the presentation of the knowledge. So if you're talking about the Bible as in terms of that hard copy Bible, well, yes, to some extent it might be. Go look at many of those churches, and we open our Bible to Matthew chapter so and so, and everyone does. It's the way we're going. Keep up with the times. While one frustrated parent made a suggestion to the ministry stating, I feel you should send the forms in schools. In school, the teachers will make sure the forms are filled out properly for those who can't apply online. The ministry gave out internet boxes and they are not working. And the internet should be free for kids. The children have to communicate with their teachers. And this is an advantage for most students. Should the internet be free? What percentage of an average class would you say has functional access to digital education? I guess it would be according to where you are looking at that class. If you are looking at a class inside NAPS, I might say the percentage might be 99 on average. If you are looking at a class inside a government school in a more unfortunate area, then it may not be as high. The thing though is it's about practical access to, because many people may have access at some point in time, but when you're talking practical access, if you're talking education level, you're talking ability to sit using this unbothered for hours, and that's what many people may not be able to access. One man said the future of the nation is in the book bag, but now it's in the publisher's handbook. When contacted by Express for comment on this, Education Minister Dr. Nyan Gadsby-Dolly stated one of the recurring problems mentioned in those complaints was parents entering the wrong email credentials. She advised parents to read through the information regarding the grant carefully and follow the instructions, including the use of correct email credentials. You know, and I'm not saying this about the parents necessarily here, but there's a reality where I can't remember what's the number. I think it's under 85 IQ or something like that. It becomes difficult for them to even follow instructions to fill out a form. Like some people discount these realities. There's a reality of a gradient of intelligence in human ability. Not everyone is as smart as everyone. And you could discount that reality, but society feels it. The average IQ, at least in the United States, the way it works, the average IQ is 100. That means there are a significant portion of people below 100. Something as simple as an online form that requires email verification. So it requires them to be able to create an email, access and use an email, and fill out the forms. Could possibly be out of the realm for some people. And then what? Governance is an interesting thing, you know. People who are excited and hurry to go lead other human beings, I do not envy you one bit. I do not envy you at all. Leading humans is a difficult exercise. Well, Ronnie is out here being a eugenicist. Ronnie is out here being a eugenicist. There should be forms to breed. There were lots of people in the mid 20th century who would have totally agreed with you. They wanted there to be none of us niggers around anymore anyway. These niggers are breeding too much with their violent, silly selves. You see, when you go into, you see, there's no actual way to make it that people who are too unintelligent to reproduce, you stop them from reproducing. There's no way to actually do that. What you could do is give certain people in your society the power to say who could breed and who cannot. That's actually what would happen. There's a difference in what we want and what is possible. So, okay, in Trinidad and Tobago, what we want is that nobody has guns. That's what Dr. Rowley wants, ostensibly. Nobody should have guns, and that way, even if we vex with each other, the most we could do is cuff each other down. That's what we want. And that's why they're making it so hard to even get a firearm license, because they want no guns in the country if possible. That's what we want. But what is possible is not that. What is possible is to write laws that work on the law-abiding citizens. So it's possible to ask the law-abiding citizens to own no guns. You don't get that from the criminals. You don't get that. So that's not within the realm of possibility. We cannot write laws to make criminally minded people not own guns. That's not going to happen, regardless of how much we want that. So we could want it that people who have the understanding level where their children may be at greater risk in life, you may not want them to be the top contenders for regular reproduction. But what effectively happens to do that is to give a section of society the power to determine who should reproduce and shouldn't. That will lead down a scary road very quickly. Wow, Tony, so old you're telling me I look by? So old for real? Uncle, you go ask by? Jeez. Uncle the man saying. I look like the uncle to a 30-year-old man by. That man in the late 30s by. Jeez. Hurt my feelings there. Anyway, people, jumping right into the next story on that note. On that note, let's jump straight into the next story there. No sticking. Wait, where's my TikTok chat? Ali says, but indirectly we are creating left-outs who cannot easily access the programs easily. That's true. Oh, lucky Fredo. That's true, we are creating left-outs. You know, it's very difficult to create a system without left-outs. Let that be known. It's actually very difficult to do that. What you're trying to do is minimize the amount of people left out and make it that anybody who does not want to be left out doesn't have to be left out. But to totally stop a system from having any left-outs at all is going to be a difficult thing. Creating perfect systems are difficult. And here's another example of just that. Taxi drivers criticize the merit point system. Bacchanal. Adrian Acosta, president of the TT Taxi Drivers Network, says some taxi drivers are losing their licenses without crossing the maximum number of demerit points. On April 11th, during a protest at the Ministry of Works and Transport in Port of Spain, Acosta said the point system as it stands used to be that 14 points would get you a disqualification without consultation or adequate consultation. However, there are drivers getting disqualified for having 10 points. Assistant Secretary David Mack added that while drivers have contested this in court and won, the demerit points are not removed because there is no system to have it erased. Imagine that. The magistrates tell you they have no power to disqualify the points, and when they are questioned, they don't know how it will be removed. Sweet, sweet TNT. We make the system and we didn't finish making it, apparently. So when they make mistakes, you go to the court, you get it thrown out. They're saying they don't know how to remove it. Are you sure you had it removed, sir? How do you know you had it removed? How are you so sure? I don't know. I am not a taxi driver. I could only say as they say. I could only say as they say. And I don't doubt it. Let me tell you the reason I don't doubt it. Because a lot of our road traffic laws are not about keeping people safe. You look at how they are enforced, what is done, how they do it, and you understand they have zero interest in keeping people safe on the road. It's not about stopping crimes on the road. It's not about reducing road carnage. It's 100% about making money for the government and giving those people in uniforms a silly little power trip. You read the encounters people have with these officers, and very regularly you recognize that it's a kind of troll on the bridge, riddle me this trick game, trying to trick money out of your pocket. I was reading one recently where they were stopping people and trying to get them to turn on their fog lights to then give them a ticket for the fog lights. Like, what kind of foolishness is that? Isn't this fine and demerit points considered double jeopardy? I consider it so too. And when you recognize how these things are done, this system that was put in place wasn't put there with consultation from the general public, you know. This was just beamed down from on high from our superiors. And then when you compound that, that is why I always say careful when these jokers get you to jump in with them and start protesting for things. Because a certain group that was up and down the country protesting, we want people to reach where they reach and stay alive when they reach where they reach. That group now has exclusive ability to teach you the ways to decrease your demerit points. If your license is, if you reach over the point limit with your license, you go to this group, pay them a couple thousand, and you can learn how to be safe on the road again. I thought they were interested in people reaching alive. Where this money-making scheme came out from? And so often people get caught up in the activism. You jump in with them. Yes, too much road deaths. Protests up and down the country. The government must do something. The government must implement laws. And you don't know that the man you're marching with is looking for a law to fatten his pocket. Keith Noel 186, was it? What was the number with the Keith Noel committee? I don't know if you all remember that, or if that one is way behind in people's memory. A businessman who lost a work and created a social movement for his murder. He had no interest in politics. No, no, no. This is not about politics. I have no yearning for power. Strangely enough, he got that power. He got the political elevation through the committee and then got his benefit and disappeared. Acosta said the demerit point system accounts for trivial things it should not, which in turn has long-term consequences on drivers. They are doing it in a very ad hoc manner because many of the things they charge for should not carry points. It should just be a fine, like if you have a smooth tire or for not wearing your seatbelts, not a point. We think the demerit system should only be for dangerous driving. And I kind of agree with him. I don't... Personally, this is my personal opinion. I don't think the seatbelt law should even be a law because the seatbelt law is about me protecting myself, and it's not your business as the government to force me to protect myself under legal penalty of crime. I don't think that makes sense. But especially noting that's the nature of the seatbelt. The seatbelt is only you at risk. You're telling me you're going to ban somebody from driving for them making themselves at risk? The point I regularly make with this, for the people who don't understand that this has zero to do with safety. If indeed as a country we were extremely worried about people driving with no seatbelts, so worried we think they shouldn't be on the road. If they sit in a car without a seatbelt strapped on, that person should not be on the road. Then tell me, how are motorcycles legal? Motorcycles come with seatbelts. You're not even encased in a steel box. You think they really care about your safety? Motorcycles are on the road. The ultimate irony would be a police and a motorcycle ride up to you and give you a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt. That's the ultimate in irony. Motorcycle police. And the thing's so dangerous. He and his motorcycle trying to drive up and ride up to you to give you a ticket. And you know, if you just pull your steering so and hit him a little nudge, he flying, and that might be the end of that. While you could have no seatbelt and still fly him off of his bike. But no, don't worry. They care about us. It's all about safety. The reason the government is taking your money when you don't put on your seatbelt is because the government really and truly just cares about you that much. That's all this has to do. It's the level of caring. You see, we as commoners, we just don't understand these things. We don't appreciate how much the political class cares about us. How much they do just for us. It's all for us. They care so much. You know, with the firearm license business, the idea that somehow the officers in Trinidad are the best people alone to retain firearms. From the amount of mishaps you hear with officers' firearms sometimes, I don't know if I buy that. I was seeing this story, to me, this story screams some kind of very strange thing. This story seems a very you all just listen to the facts of this story for a bit and tell me if this all adds up to you, or if it's just me, you know. A close male relative of a policewoman died from apparent self-inflicted gunshot wounds while they were at a beach in Manzanilla on April 12th. Initial reports said the two from fishing pond in Sangre Grande went to Manzanilla Beach and he allegedly took her licensed gun and shot himself at around 3 p.m. He died on the spot. The woman, who is a member of the Emergency Response Patrol, was unhurt. Contacted for comment, the head of the Eastern Division, Senior Superintendent Ryan Khan, said details were still sketchy but added the woman, a constable, was deeply traumatized. Listen, I don't know, but that story sounds shaky. Like, sis, I know this is a hard time for you, and my condolences. But homeboy put you in a kind of predicament the way how he do that. Because two of you all alone on a beach? He got... How this went down? How does that happen? There's no scuffle. There's no kind of back and forth tussle for the just. I just don't know. These things are strange. A lot of the things around some officers and the police work in Trinidad seem strange. Relatives of murdered mom still blames cop for her death. Murdered mother of 2 Crystal Haricharan will be laid to rest tomorrow, but her relatives are hoping the perpetrators will be arrested soon. Her older sister said an autopsy performed at the Port of Spain said she died of multiple gunshot wounds. Sinat said information yesterday was that no one was held for her sister's murder. She also accused the police of not yet contacting grieving relatives. No police ever come and talk to us. We only find out through the videos. None of them come here. That's the life we're living, Sinath claimed. The family believes that if the police had acted on Haricharan's reports after her home in Claxton Bay was firebombed twice and shot at in January, she could have been alive today. And this does not seem surprising to me, because to me, reading the news, it seems like ever so often you see situations like this. There was a situation like this in Freeman Road in St. Augustine, where basically an entire family was wiped out over the course of a year. And everyone knew what was going on. Most of the murders happened broad daylight in a busy area, and somehow the men came in and out. The police were unable to stop any of these things. How is a feud ongoing a geographical feud? So you know where the people are from, and you mean there's nothing the police could do? The family believes that if the police had acted on Haricharan's report after her home in Claxton Bay was firebombed twice and shot at in January, she could have still been alive today. Firebombed twice and shot at. Nothing could be done. And they're still going to kill you after that. As I said when we first went through this case, as a businessman, why would you not fall for blackmail? The police all around the country keep saying, any businessman facing blackmail, please come and inform the officers, inform the police, tell the police if you are being blackmailed. But this lady had her house firebombed, shut up. Months go by, nothing. And according to the story, it was a falling out in the community. I would suppose the lady is scared of falling out in the community. They're already trying to kill her. I am nearly certain she would have furnished the police with names. I feel she gave the police names. I wonder if those names are protected. Because that's very often what happens. And this is how corruption from the police seeps down to making a horror story all over the country. Because what regularly happens in Trinidad and Tobago, we have blocks all over the country. Drug blocks, crime blocks all over the country. The blocks are geographical. There's a block on XYZ corner. People know this. The police know this. So in order for the block to stand, usually what happens, allegedly, so it's said through the grapevine, is they have protection. So this block is protected by this senior superintendent. This block has this sergeant as their protector. This block is protected by that one and that one and that one and that one. So if now you as a regular citizen who don't have their own senior police protection assigned to them, if you find yourself running into conflict with a protected block, who do you complain to? Who do you complain to in that case? Because if these people are selling drugs and doing all manners of crime with impunity all the while, when they threaten me, I'm supposed to believe that the police will now be able to do something? But again, no. We don't want the citizens to be able to arm and protect themselves. Leave that to the police. Leave that to the police. Police Service Commission opens applications for top cop post. I don't know if they're trying to gaslight us here. Not gaslight us, but give us a little, I don't know if you all remember that old insurance commercial where the guy has the dollar on the official line and almost got it there. Like, I'm not sure what they're aiming at with this advertisement. If it's just, regular par for the course kind of thing, or if, they're attempting to show the citizens that they're listening. Police Service Commission opens applications for top cop post. After just over a year as Commissioner of Police, Earl Howard Christopher may face competition for her job, as the Police Service Commission has issued an ad calling on suitably qualified people to apply for the post. In the ad, which was published in April 11's paper, the PSC said it is seeking to appoint a suitably qualified Trinidad and Tobago national to the Office of Commissioner of Police in the TT Police Service and is inviting applications to fill the position. Wouldn't that be interesting? Would that not be very interesting? But to me, this is what a Police Service Commission is supposed to be about. If the Police Service Commission is supposed to be an independent, neutral, overseeing body, then we aren't, as a country, supposed to need to complain to the Prime Minister to do something about the Commissioner of Police. They are supposed to constantly be looking at her performance indicators and seeing if she's performing well, and if she is not, then they are supposed to do something about it. That's their job. What would the qualifications be? Well, listen to this. And I found this very, very, very interesting, especially coming from the Police Service Commission. The advertisement said the Commissioner of Police plans organizes, directs, and controls all strategic activities of the police service in the enforcement of laws and ordinances, crime prevention, and the protection of life and property in order to promote and achieve higher levels of safety and security of the nation. The job summary said the work involves, listen to this, people, and let me see if you all are paying attention and following the storyline over the couple of days that we've been talking. Tell me if you all catch what this is saying here. The job summary said the work involves providing policy advice and decision-making support to the minister, permanent secretary, and the PSC, and, listen to this, formulating, implementing, and monitoring policies, plans, and programs for the police service. So, who creates the policies for the police service? Who is in charge of formulating, implementing, and monitoring the policies of the police service? Well, you see, according to a certain prime minister, he recently said that the policies are theirs. This is government policy. How dare any judge question it? But the Police Service Commission tells us the policy is under the control of the commissioner. Beside those qualifications, though, you are also expected to have a master's degree, must hold a master's degree in law, criminal justice, criminology, police service management, or any other relevant degree from a recognized university. Applicants must also have no less than 15 years experience of increasing responsibility in law enforcement. The deadline for applications is 4 p.m. on May 3rd, 2024. So it looks like the Police Service Commission is saying no to the Prime Minister's version of who creates the policies. They are advertising the job as a policy creation job. Are they wrong, Mr. Prime Minister? Is it that the Police Service Commission is wrong in what they're advertising for the police service, for the commissioner? I've seen many episodes of Law and Order. Does that count? Well, send in your application and see, I guess. But 15 years in law enforcement, which, or a master's degree, which one the law and order replacing, the experience or the master's degree, or both? You're hoping the law and order episodes replace both the degree and the experience? That's a hard ask. Let me touch on this story finally before we dive out. Amara's dad. Women have more rights than men. I don't want to say it like this, but like women have more rights, said Shannon Lalit, the biological father of 4-year-old Amara Lalit. A post-mortem on the child's body done yesterday at the Forensic Science Center concluded she died as a result of blunt force trauma. Amara's father spoke with the Express yesterday afternoon at Express House, Independence Square, Port of Spain. He expressed his frustration, saying he tried to physically see his daughter over 11 times since her birth, but was denied access, and claimed both the police and the courts helped in the denial. Legally speaking, the police blocked me and the courts blocked me, he said. Asked if he would like to see changes in the judicial system when it came to the rights of fathers, he said yes. Joe says, is he wrong for saying that? No, I will say no. Equalize things. He said the president of the Single Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Randall Fields, had reached out to him and a meeting has been set up. Hey, if it's one thing, that organization seems very proactive. Points to them. Others as well have offered to help, but my daughter already died and it is hurting me like hell. But at least we could have a change that would be good. Even if they equalize the situation between fathers and mothers, that would be good, he said. I don't want to say it like this, but like women have more rights. That is what I was seeing. Women have more rights because if it was the other way around, the police would have never come so. In other words, the police reach fast for me when the woman calls, and on top of that, they would be driving around to ensure I leave, he said. I would like for men to have more access and for them to get through and not be blocked from seeing their children and not be treated like how I was treated by the police, he said. Lalit also called for men to have easier court hearings with regard to them seeing their children. If they have to go to court, give them access to go in court and have a hearing. Let the magistrate have a hearing or whatever, so that men could literally speak out and the court could understand what is going on, he said. Don't make the situation like what I went through and tell me I cannot bring up my child for custody because the mother have to bring me up for child maintenance first. No. Equalize things a bit, he said. If they had allowed me to go through to have part custody, I would have had my child off and on, and that man would have not taken God out of his thoughts to do what he do because he would have seen the father's presence, he said. With me not around, he felt like he in full control over the whole situation to do that stupid act. He did because what he wanted to do to my child mother is what he did to my child. So he did not get to her, so he took his anger out on the child, an innocent child, he said. My fondest memories of her are actually seeing her alive and happy to see me. And I was happy to see her. And that was something like out of this world and is irreplaceable, he said. Hey, that is a heavy story. Now, what's going on there with my TikTok? Am I still playing there? Alright, good. Vibes, he says that case was so tragic, I won't speak of it. No, TikTok is giving some trouble. It kind of just froze there, but if it froze and I'm still streaming, that's not a problem, I guess. But Vibesy, me too, you know. Me too, you know. Some of these stories, like I can't even read all the words of this story. It just does something not good to me. I don't like reading them, to be very honest with you. I don't like reading those stories. They aren't fun stories to go through. But yeah, the man is right. The man is right on that. And you would hope that's what the court systems would have been geared towards. If a couple have a child, the interest in is in the child, and the child's best interest is in having both parents around. So you would think that the courts would attempt to ensure that's the outcome, but it's not true. It's not what they do. So many single mothers out here, it's so weird. Yeah, we were talking some about that last night when we were talking about the nature of how the laws morphed over time, where things swayed to the benefit of women because it seemed legally like there was too much benefit towards men. But society was already formulated to buttress those the social workings and the legal underpinnings work together. So okay, women were at greater risk, still are at greater risk if they end up in a physical confrontation with their male loved ones. They are at a greater risk. So because that's a reality, legally you had it that the police generally take it more seriously one direction than the next. But if you still have those leanings without the social counteraction state, we always end up in problems. Ali says most of the systems in TNT is intrigue and tedious, take time and years to sort out. Ronnie, I am trying, but I am not sure what is going on with TikTok right now. Ronnie, I don't think I could add you, you know. I'm not sure what's going on there. TikTok is kind of freezing up. My apology. No, it's not you. It's mine. They have this thing that pops up like an hour or something into your stream where you have to pull a puzzle piece into a little puzzle hole to say that you're still a human and you aren't hacking the system, and that you aren't hacking the system, and it popped up, but the screen grayed out. So I'm seeing a kind of grayed out screen, but I'm not actually seeing the thing to do. So you all are seeing me, but I cannot actually do anything on the app. The app isn't responding to anything I do. I saw it actually passed in US to ban TikTok. I'm not surprised. I understand totally why they did it. And it's not exactly a TikTok ban. It's forcing them to divest. It's forcing the divestment of any international actors. So I mean, the Chinese Communist Party could divest their stake in TikTok and then it would be all fine. But I guess they're not interested in doing that. And if they're not interested in doing that, well, then the ban kind of comes into play. I mean, I understand, and I think we need to do some, and y'all know I am much more libertarian on a lot of these things, but I think we need to actually do some legal decisions on social media and the access to social media. The one I was saying about Twitter, with Twitter having raw porn at every corner, I don't think it should be legally accessible to children. Like, yes, I understand that parents are the ones that are supposed to primarily deal with this. TikTok is not supposed to, I believe no child is supposed to be on TikTok. TikTok is like drugs, and you're giving children access to drugs. That's a bad idea. And yes, it starts with the parent. But shouldn't we legally do something about that too? Legally, you cannot legally give a child under 18 alcohol. I might say TikTok might be worse for the average child than alcohol. I might say TikTok is worse for the average child than alcohol. So how could you tell me that a child needs to be over 18 to take a sip of a Carib, but they could jump on TikTok and watch the most toxic, mind deleting, brain thwarting, decadence and depravity boosting nonsense? They could do that. Parents don't see it. Well, Nisi, I think many parents don't even fully understand. Many parents don't know, and they wouldn't know and wouldn't understand till it's too late. There are parents out there who can't tell that their son is falling deeper and deeper into the LGBTQIA2 plus community through TikTok. They don't even understand that. They just find their son is getting more and more and more effeminate. There was someone who died in a cemetery recently. The video about him seems to insinuate he was down a certain line. And if you look at the social media nature of how that video was created, there is influence of internet influence on that video. You could look at the video. I don't know if you all know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, you don't. If you do, you do. If you look at the video, you could see the social media influence and even the creation of this video. This ain't just two youth men who love each other all of a sudden. Vibesy says, so what's the next step? Banning children under 18 from a cell phone? Maybe. And some people make that sound so drastic, but there are signs on every shop that say children under 18 cannot buy cigarettes. So why is it drastic to think of banning something dangerous for children if it's social media, but we do it all the time for other things? And I think the ban could be soft in its enforcement, in that yes, it's a ban, but obviously parents can allow their children usage of internet and phones for their own purpose under supervision. Just as we know children under 18 aren't supposed to drink, but 99% of people in Trinidad and Tobago had their first drink under the age of 18. Yeah. I'm not saying your question wasn't a relevant question, you know. It's a very relevant question, but I've seen people say, very good, Orlando. I've seen people say that it shouldn't be regulated because it's ridiculous to regulate it like this. I don't think so. I really don't. I think it needs to be. And yes, as I said at the start, I will reiterate, it is a parental thing first up, yes. But I also think society bears some responsibility. First off, I believe in Trinidad and Tobago it's illegal to even have an adult pornography store. I think that might be illegal under our decency laws. Even if we did, it wouldn't be legal for a child to walk in. How are you going to tell me it would be legal to give a child a phone to access it through the internet? Oh, very good, Orlando. Well, happy for that, man. I'm very happy for that, and I'm glad we will have some assistance in your travails. All right, people. TikTok is giving me the business. And that's all I have for now anyway. I think I'll be diving out if there are no further questions or comments. You never talked about the topic. Hey, I always talk about economics. I will not have you, Orlando. How is it finding that regularized balance? What regularized balance we're talking about there? Ah. If there are no further questions or comments on the inside, I'd bid you farewell, people, and look to dive out. This has been the Mindful Live. I am Nathan Springer. What is the ideal age to settle down? For men, 24. For women, 20. And I'm dead serious. Let it be known, I wasn't married at 24. I'm just going to say it so you know, nobody has to point at me and say you say so and so, but you didn't want it. But honestly, I am saying it with a bit of humor, yes, but I honestly do believe that. I honestly do believe that. I think things would be better if you're already working through your uniting in the early 20s. I think going through the 20s as a single person, you see, what people talk about, you need to find yourself, you need to know yourself before you meet someone else and you love someone else. Sometimes when they talk about finding themselves and knowing themselves, they're talking about ruining their lives and setting up themselves into more negativity. So yeah, I'll say 24. That's my honest view. For men, 30, Joe says. For females, 25. Nah. For men, 30. Nah. Here's the way I see it. For men at 30, that's where you want to have your last child, ideally. J. Christ says 24 is a kid. 20... Y'all will have me delaying here a little bit. Y'all gonna have me staying back here a little bit. You see, this is the problem with modern people. 24-year-olds, 1,000 years ago, already conquered half the world. And we here calling 24-year-olds children. A 24-year-old already had the world at his feet. And no. These 24-year-olds, they aren't old enough to even tie their lace themselves. You know. These are children. These are children. It's institutionalizing children, making them think they are invalids. We need to bring back the maturity age down. We're not supposed to have 30-year-old children out here. Millennials are too immature, too old. They're children at 40. Why must we have coffee cereal? Why? We have coffee cereal. You know why we have coffee cereal? Because the big people that start drinking coffee are still children and need the morning cereal, so you know you could combine it. Millennials need to grow up. 30 and you ain't grow up yet talking about 25 as a child. No, the reason 18, you see, and that's what confuses us even in modern times. 18 as the age of adulthood makes it. Now we look at that and it seems like 18 is never an adult. 18 is a child. That's ridiculous. But when they put that age, they were very serious about that. At 18, this person could leave their home and go out there and start a brand new life. And they knew what to do. They weren't afraid and confused to do it. A 30-year-old doesn't know the process to go and renew their license. None of the adult processes the 30-year-olds know anymore. Every single government function that you have to go and do, you could form a business to do it on behalf of the 30-year-olds now because they are incapable of doing it. They are children for too long. A 24-year-old is not a child. A 24-year-old is not a child. Congratulations on that to Trinidad. I didn't say that. That's good. That's good. I rate that. We need to undo that nonsense that the boomers did. And the boomers, it was very beneficial to the boomers. I keep saying this. And it's strange to me, you know. It's very strange to me that we would complain that they aren't giving us a chance. The boomers aren't giving us a chance, aren't giving the young people a chance to lead, aren't giving the young people a chance to make moves in society. And the young people are afraid to make any moves. At 24, you calling yourself a child and afraid to start a family. You're a coward. If I was a boomer, I wasn't giving you the power to rule the country either. If you are afraid to have the power to rule a family, how are we giving you the power to rule anything else? You're a child. And if your confession is that you're a child, well, we will treat you as a child and you will remain as such. And the boomers, that worked very conveniently, because now Joe Biden and his ancient self can still run for president, because these children and children at 30, but these children aren't really at that level yet. I think the idea, Joe says, I think 24-year-old fellas is not ready for marriage. Most are wild. They are wild because of the generation we have made. They are wild because of the generation we have made. They are not supposed to be wild. They are not supposed to be wild. But they are wild because of the generations we have made. And I think what you want is you want them to be locked into something calming down that wildness. The irony, and I heard someone, I'll say it plainly, my mother told me this. My mother told me this. And she told me it in my teenage years, and I found it very interesting. She says she found it strange that women would give their best years, we know what best years mean, to school and work. And then at 35, come to give the man that you say you real love those years. If you real love someone, wouldn't you want to be in action in the prime? And I urge y'all, Joe says, but they are, so 24 isn't the ideal age for them to marry. No. They shouldn't be, and 24 is the ideal age for them to marry. It's not the ideal age for them to still be wild. That's where it went wrong. It's not the ideal age for settling. It's that they're supposed to be settled. But I urge all of you to go out there, Google it, and see what is the sexual reproductive fertility prime of the human being. See what is the prime. I'm not talking about the online statistics where people like them the most. I'm talking biologically here. See what is the prime in human sexuality. And then tell me, what logic would you use to determine that a relationship that is significantly sexual would make best sense to begin after the prime? Okay. And tell me if you aren't setting up people for problems. If you're telling people that what you need to do is settle down after you pass your sexual prime and the peak of your libido, aren't you basically setting up a system to ensure that by the time people reach the settling down phase, they already have a long list so of racking up problems? At 24, most don't have enough money. I spoke about that already before. The idea of how much money you need is a lie. And that's the whole thing. It's a narrative that was sold. The boy is too wild. They're too immature. They're children. They need more money. All of that is a lie. It's a narrative that we were sold that is untrue. And if you look at the societal results of us believing those narratives, look at the societal results. As society moved away from younger people marrying and staying together, have we gotten longer lasting marriages? Have we gotten more disciplined offspring? These people were able to marry at 20, make 10 children. All 10 of them listen to mommy and daddy. These 30 and 40-year-olds marrying, making one child, and is the seed of Satan. So I don't believe it. That was then, not now. Joe, do you believe that human beings have changed? I'm not even reading that rhyme you put there before. I don't think human beings have changed. It's the same human beings. Ali says, I think they are very slow to maturity at 25. One should be building a foundation already. Correct. I feeling way, I 30 and have one child. Bro, RL, me too, you know. I talking to myself here too, you know. I'm talking to myself here. Joe, I don't think humans have changed biologically. I think these are social changes, and social changes could be undone. Social changes could be undone, and we don't even have to subscribe to social changes. We could make social subcultures and disappear from that change. So, I don't think human beings have actually changed. It's a social thing. What about Horn? Well, Horn is an extenuating factor. That's a, what do you call it in, what is that business term by? Oh gosh. I forget the term. Parents themselves make their children so. Yep. But yeah, I think before I dive out, to conclude it, I think we need to throw away these narratives. And I'm telling you, I was a victim, I would say, of it myself. If I could go back in time, I think I would have started much younger. I'm telling you. The idea that you won't have enough money, not true. The idea that you're too young, not true. I was reading this from a psychologist. And I think it was a paper actually, where they were noting that older parents are much more careful with their children. You know, Trinidad, I was not going to say what you are saying there, and you said it. They are overprotective, monitor every move, and then complain when they cannot function in society. Older parents are extremely protective and safe with their children. And that's not a good thing. The inherent recklessness of young parents actually aids to some extent in the proper maturing of children. Someone isn't supposed to have that one child and treat them like I cannot have another because I'm 40 now. The 24-year-olds, they throw their child up 3 feet into the air because they know, well, I could pop out 5 more. Speaking, you know, generally loosely here. But that sentiment in parenting also helps. Also, raising young children is a high energy requirement thing. If you don't have the energy, you will not do it appropriately. That's the reality. If you don't have the energy, you wouldn't. Listen, my mother and father, my mother too, especially, during our days as children, she was in ripping form. Joe says, keep fit enough and you're good to go. Joe, let me tell you why I don't like that, Joe. Let me tell you why I don't like that. If I exercise regularly, from the time I was 18 till I am 60, even if I exercise regularly throughout the entire time, I would still be fittest between my late teens and 20s into early 30s. That would be my physical prime, regardless of if I work out or not. And would it be better for me to give my children my physical prime or give them my, what's all, senescence? Give them my senescence. Nathan, a man came to register his sons yesterday, he's 69 with 3 young sons. Like, I mean, I don't begrudge a man it, and neither a woman, I don't begrudge you it. But I think it's not ideal, and the person that asked the question to start this off asked about ideal. I think ideally, you want a situation that's ideal for your children. What's ideal for the children? A mother and father who are active, who are not overprotective because they can't make another one, who don't increase the risk of you being born with all kind of deficiencies as they grow older and their equipment gets aged. And I think the youth allow some learning together. But hey, we'll talk about this next week too. Joe says yes, true, but you'll still be able to play some games with them. Keep the mind young too. Yeah. Of course. I'm not saying. Listen, I had my first child at 32, so not 32, at 32. So I'm not saying this as a stranger to it. I understand. I'm not saying that 30-year-olds can't play with their children and all of that. I'm just saying if you're talking about an ideal, I think I'd point back. Whew. That is pain. Well, I know a man. His oldest is about 50. And his youngest, I think, is about 2 months. And trust me, in between is replete. Hey, Trinidad sweet. Yes, Trinidad sweet. All right, people, that's all I have for now. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. This has been the Mindful Live. I am Nathan Springer. I'll see you guys again for the next Mindful Live, which would be Monday around that 9:30 p.m. time, people. Until then, people, hold it down. Stay safe. Stay inside. Outside sketchy. Don't go nowhere this weekend, I'm telling you. Stay inside. Mind your family. Joe says, but it's better in the younger years. My first was when I was 25. You see, Joe? You see? And you're telling people go old, Joe. You're telling people go old, and you got the pleasure and enjoyment of children in your youth. Isn't there a scripture about, isn't there a Bible verse about this? The exact quote is eluding me. Let me see if I can get that quote. Children of your youth, I think, of your youth. Yeah, I think that's in the Bible somewhere. Yes, Psalms 127. You all need to read your Bibles. Psalms 127, verse 4. Let me get some context on that one. Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. As arrows in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. Hey, one, they say children of your youth. And you know it's the quiver. The quiver is where you're holding the arrows in. So they say happy is the man whose quiver is filled with arrows. So fellas out there, make sure your quiver filled with arrows of your youth. Marry the people. Let them go and populate the people just so. Making bastard children out there. Go and make proper children. Full your quiver, Ronnie. Yes. Get that quiver full. Psalms 127, Joe. Psalms 127. Yes, Nisi, that's true. Sir says quiver and pockets full. Dream Chaser says, one I run, I good. I don't care who come after. Hey, hear the thing, Dream Chaser. They say, happy is the man who had his quiver full. So maybe your quiver is a one arrow quiver. If your quiver made to hold one specialty arrow, one arrow full in your quiver, you know, brother. If one arrow full in your quiver, one arrow full in your quiver is full with one. Nisi says I just fight the air sometimes with my daughter. You wish you had them one after each other. Quick. Let me go and sleep. Me too, boy, sir, boy. Me too. Good night, people. Good night. Stay well, stay safe. I am out. Have a good one. I'll see you guys for the next one. Until then, bye.